Hey, Color of Truth family, this is Professor Green coming with another segment of Color of Truth where we unveil the real color of all truths. On this Columni Day, I would like to talk to you a little bit about something a little bit different because I know you're getting a lot of information about they came before Columbus and how enslaved people and the lie that they told as it relates to indigenous people already being here, Native American people already being here, and then Christopher Columbus supposedly discovering America, which we already know now. Um, or if you don't know, you'll soon find out that you can't discover something when inhabitants are already here. So I'm gonna dig into that a little bit later on another segment and hit you with that when this day over with and all the other myths and facts about it has already been dispelled and already given. Um, I want to share something with you interesting I found today. Now, I'm reading out this book called, I got this out of Barnes and Nobles. It's called Black America History for Dummies. So it's a really, really great illustrated book written by Rhonda Penreese. And she did an excellent job with this and all the other contributors to this book. But I learned something new about in this book, and I wanted to share with you today a man by the name of Mr. David Walker. Now, the reason why I want to share this is first because it was a great story, and secondly is because I can remember earlier on, and I might have said this in one of my other segments, but I'm gonna reiterate it. Um, I was I was talking about Black history, and I didn't know a lot about Black history. I still don't know a lot. I'm not a Black history scholar. I just learn stuff and I share it as I go along. I'm hoping one day to be a full scholar in African American history. Um, so one of the things I was talking to somebody about Black history, and a woman of Asian descent. I don't know whether she was Filipino. I don't know if she was Korean. I don't know if she was Japanese. I don't know if she was Chinese. She was just of Asian descent. Um, she said, "Well, if you all were such a great people, why didn't you fight back?" And I remember I couldn't answer that question. But later on, as I began to research our history, we perform insurrections often. People even drowned their own children. If you ever saw the movie called Amistad, you'll see people jumping over the side of the boat, enslaved Africans jumping over the side of the boat with their children because they rather die than to be enslaved. Um, and you got plenty of insurrections. Denmark Vesey, not Turner. You have all different types of insurrection. The Haitian Revolution. One of the reasons why they don't want to let Haitians over here in the United States today because the Haitians defeated the French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, uh, and to this day there's been a vendetta against people of Haitian descent. But I'm gonna talk about that in another segment. Let's get back to David Walker. So now I know that we did everything that we could do to escape enslavement. So listen to this about David Walker. And I'm going to do another segment on David Walker because I actually want to go. He wrote a column called A Walker's Appeal to Colored Citizens in 1829. Guess where it's at, y'all? It's in the Library of Congress. So I actually got to go to Washington, D.C., get an actual library card from the Library of Congress so I can get the article, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to share it with you all when I do it. Few abolitionists. Now, when we talk about the abolitionists, now we really talking about the emancipators. You know, people like David Walker, William Lloyd Garrison, Frederick Douglass, and those that put pressure um, on Lincoln to emancipate or do the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, Anthony Benazet, but a lot of people don't understand because the South was finna secede from the North. That's the only reason why Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation was supposedly on paper freed enslaved people, and we're gonna get into that about how that once enslaved people were free, they were worse off than well. Let me rephrase that. They found themselves without an adequate social safety net, but yet though because we are resilient people, we turn lemon into lemonade. We turn entrails of the pig, hog maw, and chillings into a delicacy that they serve in fine dining restaurants today. We turn, we use a little bit of oil and a little bit of flour and made hoe cakes and bread. We even went into the swamp area, and you have a group of people called the Maroons, and was able to build whole civilizations and whole what we classify like a city inside the swamp. And whites wouldn't follow them because they were afraid of catching malaria. So I want to make sure that I make that clear. Where some people would say we were in a worse off condition, I say no. We made do with whatever we had. And some did turn back and want to go back into enslavement, but that's a whole nother conversation. So the abolitionists put pressure on Lincoln to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. He didn't want to do it willingly. So one of those abolitionists was David Walker. I never heard about him, so I want to share. Few abolitionists, black or white, matched David Walker's revolutionary spirit, especially in the 1820s when calls for gradual emancipation prevailed. In 1829, David Walker, born in North Carolina to a free mother and an enslaved father, published his highly controversial Walker's Appeal. In his appeal, Walker praised enslaved people who defended themselves against their masters. At a time when many black people, even abolitionists, refrained from advocating violent and rebellious acts against slavery, Walker dared to suggest enslaved people kill their masters for their freedom. Of course, this scared many slaveholders who already feared slave rebellions. It also scared many white abolitionists who usually favored gradual emancipation. Walker's direct address to enslaved and free black people to take the fight of freedom into their own hands, even if it meant using violence, distinguished his appeal the most. Walker's message was deemed so incendiary that a bounty of $3,000 was placed on his head. That was a lot of money back then, y'all. With some southern states offering $10,000 to anyone who brought him in alive. In some places in the South, those caught with Walker's appeal risked fines and imprisonment. So when he published the Walker Appeal, and when he published this writing, he was promoting, hey, take matters into your own hand. Strap up. You know what I'm saying? Fight against this beast called enslavement and racism. When Nat Turner and others enslaved later rebelled, white Southerners didn't blame slavery for the rebellion, but rather Walker's appeal for encouraging it. Despite the risk, Walker refused to hide and instead produced more editions of the controversial treatise. Shortly after the third edition was distributed in 1830, Walker was found dead. At the time, it was assumed to be murder, but today many historians believe he died of tuberculosis, which also killed his daughter. So I want to try to share that with you. I'm going to try to get a hold of this. I'm not going to try. I'm going to get a hold of this appeal to color people of 1829. And so you will know more about David Walker and his appeal. And I offer the same appeal today. Rise up against thine oppressor. Racism is still alive. Let's hit the ballot. Malcolm talked about the ballot before the bullet. Ballot, get the ballot, do the ballot, or get the bullet. And so rise up. Let's educate ourselves. Let's strip off these mental chains, not the physical chain, but these mental chains. Let's put our money together. Let's try to put something together in our communities where we can help our communities to thrive, what's left of them. Because a lot of our community have been gentrified, but yet though we always create our own. So I just wanted to share that with you, David Walker. Drop a comment, subscribe, like. Color of Truth.